This is Flight Training the Way I See It with Mike Schiffler. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Flight Training the Way I See It, the April 2025 edition. And I'm your host, Mike Schiffler, and we're going to talk about news and opinion. The main things we're going to talk about today are the FAA is going to revamp the NOTAM system. That's going to happen pretty soon. Also, I'll be part of a 141 Modernization Group. We're rewriting all of Part 141. Also, we'll talk about the fact that our power hours are gaining a lot of traction. They're getting a lot bigger. And the FAA finally drops the medical denial procedure proposal they had about ready to kick into gear, but that's now been completely dropped. We'll talk about that. And then we'll talk about the pro tips. So we need about 20-30 minutes, so let's get going. Okay, the FAA is revamping the NOTAM systems. This was put on hold, and now it's back on the front burner. And so they're going to align it with the ICAO format, which is much easier to read, it's parsed better. It's just a lot better system. You know, when you look at all the pages and pages of NOTAMs that don't even come close to what you need or what you want, sifting through all of that to find maybe the rogue one in there that might do you in, you know, it's not very fair and it's not very effective, and there's software to do that, right? The chairman of NTSB basically said, no wonder people fly into areas they shouldn't with this level of detail and irrelevant content, no matter, right? So that's paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And so then that was a recommendation from NTSB to FAA to redo that. FAA did it for a while, and then they stopped it for maybe budget, maybe some reason. And they got the hot button again, so it's back on track to be finished by the end of this year, 2025. So we're all looking forward to that. Let me tell you, clean up that mess. All right, second topic. So I'm sitting on a 141 Modernization Group. And what that is that's a group that FAA put together, or it's really open meetings for most part of it, but then I'm on a separate group. It's 20 people. It's run by a guy named Paul, who's the current president of NAFI. So he's the moderator for the panel and the sort of guy who puts everything together. And we'll meet several times per month. Well, the big meeting, which is at FAA regional headquarters, the next one will be in Burlington, Massachusetts, May. And you can look online. You can easily find information about that. That's a 3-day meeting, so I'll be on that. And then we'll meet separately, and our core group is going to focus on these things: curriculum, completion requirements, and training methods. And so the email came out the other day, which was, what are your hot buttons? What can we put on the front burner for our group to sort of tackle those things first? And so my front burner item was, I think we need to make sure somehow, some way, that flight instructors can get credit towards the 1,500 hours that they need for using a flight training device with a student. Because a lot of times what's happening is we're not being able to really use these training devices in the way we should because the flight instructors don't want to do it because they don't get any credit or time for it. So I think once we remove that out of the way, that could happen. Now, that's a rule write. So it's a rule rewrite, I should say. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But that's what I want so far on my front burner. Now, these meetings are going to fundamentally change the entire Part 141. So it's a complete rewrite from the ground up. And they're on the way. There are like hot button issues. What can we fix like right now? And so examining authority is in there. Initial certification is in there. And we're also looking to set up a national office that just does only initial certification under Part 141. So all your applications go there. And our group, is going to work on a template that would work for that. So that's really another initial certification group, but we're going to sort of put that in their ear. I think they know that already, having a standardized template. Because what we want to do is take the POIs, the principal operating inspectors from the FSDO, out of that process. Because every day, I don't know if you know how the FSDO works, but the front manager basically looks at what's got to be done today. Here's a list of things that have to be done. And then they do a risk assessment. And whoever wins the risk assessment is what gets done. And I can tell you that certification of airmen is the last thing. That's not going to kill nobody right now. So what's going to do is enforcement, accidents, of course, that's going to be top of the list. Surveillance is going to be up there, but certification of airmen in Part 141 schools is kind of down way near the bottom. So anyway, if we can take the FSDO's workload off that by having a national office that says, here's the package, all you need to do is go inspect it and then do the report and maybe surveil it if you need to. I think that's going to be quite good. We're also looking to try to get examining authority as part of the initial certification after you're done with being provisional school. There was also talk about doing a tiered 141 where you could be a very large school and meet the criteria of examining authority by one means. Maybe you have a QMS system in place, quality management system, and you have a team of people to go over that and improve your training, whereas a small operator with 2 or 3 people or 5 people doesn't have that. And so we'd need an alternate method of compliance. So they're not trying to force QMS on us. That was my main point, along with Wayman from Wayman Aviation, previously Wayman Aviation, and had a big Part 141 school here in Miami. So we had talks about that at Sun and Fun. So anyway, that was that. That's what's happening. This is being put on by NFTA, National Flight Training Association. They are a lobbying organization in Washington. And we're working with them and with the FAA AFS 800, which is run, I should say, by Everett Rashawn, is a really good guy. And looks like we're supposed to have everything completed by the end of the year. Final recommendations presented to FAA by March of next year, of 2026, and it'll go to rulemaking. That's what's happening. So anyway, that's what I wanted to tell you, and I'll keep you updated as the time goes, so I can tell you what's happening within those meetings. To the extent they let me. I think it's not secret, so I think it's fine to share that information. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. And that topic is our power hours are really gaining attendance and we're expanding content. What does that mean? So if you don't know what a power hour is, we've done 233 of them, Saturdays, noon to 1 Eastern time. Every Saturday, it's not a holiday. And we pick a topic. They're pre-done through the year. Things like deep dives into commercial training maneuvers, previous handbooks, what was in them that's not in the current handbooks, marketing for flight instructors. We had Greg Brown on a couple weeks ago who wrote The Savvy Flight Instructor. If you don't have that book, you should. It's all about marketing, selling yourself as a CFI. We've done things about how to create lesson plans, how to use lesson plans, how to make pre-flight briefings from them, everything, flight instructor and pilot centric. So if you don't know how to join up, you go to our website, cfibootcamp.com, and at the top, there's a bar, a blue bar that wiggles. And you can click that, or at the very top, there's a section that says Power Hours and the choices. And you can click that and get in that way. But you want to register because then what you get, number one, you get the link, and you get that sent to you on Wednesday or Thursday, somewhere around there. The link in the description text in the email is going to say what we're going to cover. So you kind of know what the topic's going to be. Then the second thing you get is an hour before the show starts, we send you an email reminder to let you know, hey, it's getting ready. And then about as the show starts, we send you the third email. And then that way you don't miss these things because they're only free when they're live. Otherwise, you have to be on our membership site to get them. And the best way to get on our membership site at like about a third off is to, which is not much anyway, is to wait for a power hour, attend one, and you'll see an offer in there for $9 a month. That's pretty cheap. And you get all 233 power hours plus all the other stuff that we have. So, we started this thing in June of 2020. And when we started, I didn't know how many people might show up for the first one. We had about 12 people. Gary Weaver was in there. Soledad was in there. I think Sethany might have been in there. Can't remember who else was in there. But they were like beginning people, right? The very beginning. And then what happened was, this was during the pandemic, so everybody's sitting at home looking for something to do. And then people found out about it, and then it got to be like 18 the next week, and then we had 20 to 30 would be typical. And then we settled for a long time at about 40 to 60, somewhere around there. And then last year, or maybe the year before, it went up to about 80 consistently. So now and occasionally we'd have a big show. If we had 4Flight or somebody, AOPA might have come on and might have drug in, a couple hundred, but that was about it. Now we're pulling around 400 to 1,000 per session. So it's rarely less than 400. It's not more than 1,000. It's in that spot. And there's a lot of people in there. And we've changed the format, not of the power hours itself. So if those of you who know the power hour, we're not changing that. That's golden to us. We're not going to change that, which is a full hour of content delivered to you by me or by a guest speaker. And then what we do in the second hour, we have and that's wings credit. I'm sorry, the first hour, most of it's wings credit. There could be a few episodes we'll tell you that's on something else that's marketing related, not safety related. We can't get any wings credit for that, but give you wings credit for that, I should say. But what we do have is when we have wings credit, it's very simple. You just go click a link and you pretty much get it the next day. So we upload it to FAA and they do everything there internally. So that's kind of good. Now in the second hour, you don't have to attend the second hour for wings credit either. First hour is all you have to do. But the second hour, we go through the chats. We answer as many questions as possible that are relevant there to what topic is. And then we open up the mics, unless we have a guest speaker. If we have a guest speaker, like we had Greg Brown on, he consumed the second hour and did parts of his book, The Savvy Flight Instructor, what you could do today to get business, right? So I think that was very well received, and that's fine. So we can do that, or we can do open mic. So, and then there was a Q&A session after that for him. People wanted to ask questions. It's fine to do. And so then what I do after that then is I open the third hour. And the third hour is me or someone just saying, what's on your mind? And you can talk about anything you want that's flight training related. Some new regulations, some issue you're having with a student, something you don't understand about a regulation or an endorsement. All of that's fair game. And we have so many good people in that room. And sometimes we have somewhere around 120 or so, even then, even after 3-4 hours. So that's kind of handy to have resources like that. We've had people in there, the past president of ALPA, Airline Pilots Association, and he was able to talk about unions and about how they got pay for people during the pandemic, what mistakes were made. And that was impromptu. We didn't know he was in there. He just said, oh, yeah, I'm that. We had Jim Viola, who was the previous manager of AFS 800, all of the certification division for FAA. We've had AOPA sneaking in there. So we get to start getting the attention of people, which is not bad, right? And it's a nice place to hang out. And we keep the room open up to 4 hours. So first hour is the entertainment section. Second hour is go through the chats, maybe open mic, second speaker. Third hour is open mic, talk about things. It's a way to like just be with other pilots and community during Saturday, right? You can attend as much of it as little as you want. We call it Boot Camp Network now, the Boot Camp Plus Network. So that's what's happening there, and I think that's gonna be nice for people because there's nothing like that currently out there. There are wings credit seminars and this, but they don't go the extra mile and open up the mics and listen to people. And I get a lot of information from that. It helps me make better decisions as well about what we're doing as a company. Okay, this year we're going to have SAFE on again, Side of Aviation Flight Educators. We have NAFI on, National Association of Flight Instructors. Greg Brown will be back again. The CFI Study Group on Facebook. They're a great group with Dorothy Schick runs that thing. You should join that. It's free. Great resources. AOPA wants to come on, and we're going to have the president CEO of AOPA at some point on this year. He's offered to do that at the last Phoenix show. I was at AOPA in Buckeye, Arizona, and we talked about that. Okay, so that's what's going on. The next topic is the FAA finally drops the medical denial procedure proposal. So there was something that was ugly in there. What they were doing was they were proposing that if you filled out an application and it wasn't maybe complete, instead of deferring it, they would just flat out deny your medical, and you have to reapply again. And of course, a denial on your record means something. So when that's a negative marker for a lot of companies. They will flag that and say, "Oh, you had a medical denial. Why are you trying to work for us? Because you had a medical denial. Some reason, not deferred, denied." So that has like connotations, right? So anyway, at that point, AOPA, EAA, everybody was outrageously mad about that. You can imagine. And finally, the flight surgeon from FAA said, okay, we got it. We were deferring it. We're going to put it out in March. And then we said, okay, forget it. We're not going to do it at all. We'll just keep the same process that we have. So all good on that front. Okay, now for the pro tips. All right, pro tip number 1 is if you're serious about working in flight training as a career, attend at least one conference per year, an aviation conference, particularly those that focus on flight training. Because the people who attend those conferences are typically there because that's what they do for work. It's their career. And you want to know these people because these people can really help you as the time goes on, getting jobs, moving, answering questions about things in flight training. They're quite resourceful people. So that's networking. So two of the ones I can think of for you to join is Redbird Migration. That happens around the country once per year. It's usually in February. And last was in Denver, Colorado. I don't know where it's going to be this year, but Redbird Migration, if you just Google that, you'll find it. And it's free. It's a 2-day conference, maybe 2.5. It's keynote speakers. There's then breakout sessions with various people like me talking about CFIs, someone else talking about ForeFlight, someone else talking about whatever the topics are. And anyway, they pay for dinner. They pay for your lunches there at the conference. It's free. You don't have to pay anything for it. It's put on by Redbird, the company. So I would say to do that. The second one is called NAFI Summit, NAFI Summit. And NAFI Summit is put on by National Association of Flight Instructors. And this coming year will be the third summit they've had. Last one is in Daytona Beach. First one was in Lakeland at Sun and Fun area, that center, at the museum there. So anyway, they'll put on another one. And again, it's flight instructor-centric stuff. So you're going to be around people who know this industry quite well. And if you're new to it and you want to stay in it, this is about the best thing that you're going to get. Those two conferences in particular. FASAN is another one, Flight School Association of North America. It's usually around this time. It's in Orlando this year. And it will focus on flight schools. So only flight schools who are interested in flight training, have their skin in the game, are going to join because it's expensive. For you as an individual to go, it's going to cost you about $300 and some bucks. But it depends on what you're looking for. You might just find a job right there. You'll definitely hear all about things like 141 program. You'll see the companies there too. There's quite a large exhibit area now. So that's another one to attend. Okay. Third pro tip is to get your Advanced Ground Instructor Certificate, your AGI. So in order to do that, you need to pass 2 tests. The Advanced Ground Instructor Test, Knowledge Test, and the FOI Knowledge Test, unless you have a Flight Instructor Certificate already. So if you're new to this, go ahead and do that. Get your AGI by taking the AGI Knowledge Test and your FOI. You go, why would I ever want to do that? Okay, let me tell you. So even if you're a CFI, you should have this. Number one is you don't need to keep track of your endorsements and test results for knowledge tests. As a CFI, you have to. You have to keep track of who you endorse for a knowledge test and the result of it. Right? As an AGI, you don't need to do that. You can also use it instead of showing the FOI to the DPE for your flight instructor check ride. And it's no matter how long you took it. So as long as you have that certificate issued, you can show it in lieu of the FOI test. So if you took that thing 20 years ago and you want to get your CFI tomorrow, you'd still be able to use it in lieu of the FOI. You wouldn't have to go take that test again. You can also endorse a person in any category or class. So if a rotorcraft pilot comes to you and wants endorsed for the rotorcraft private pilot knowledge test, you can do that as an AGI. You can do a balloon, commercial balloon if you want to. So that's quite powerful as well. And the last thing is you need the AGI or IGI, Instrument Ground Instructor Certificate, to qualify for a Gold Seal certificate. You also need to have recommended at least 10 applicants with a 80% first-time pass rate at least in the previous 2 years. And then you need the AGI or IGI. And then your certificate, instead of having a black seal on it for flight instructor, it'll have a gold seal on it. So those are all the reasons. All right, well, that's all I've got for you this month. Hope you liked the kind of short 20-minute or so, I think it was. But we got a lot of ground covered there. So we'll see you next month for the May 2025 newsletter and podcast of Flight Training the Way I See It. This has been a production of Flight Training the Way I See It. News, tips, and opinion.